North Korea says it's reverting to the same time zone as South Korea on May 5th. Kim Jong-un had changed the clocks 3 years ago to put the country 30 minutes behind the South. From Thursday, there'll be one time zone again. The newly appointed U.S. National Security Advisor John Bolton says Washington is considering using the Libya model to denuclearize the Korean Peninsula. Plus, in a sign the economic recovery is still ongoing, South Korea's central bank says the nation's industrial output fell 2.5% on month in March. So let's start with the latest developments regarding North Korea. They are coming thick and fast. It's been a long weekend for everyone here covering it as well. The regime now says there will be no separate Pyongyang time, and that will start from May 5th as North Korea moves its time zone to match that of us here in Seoul. North Korea's state-run Korean Central News Agency reported on Monday that the decision was made directly by the North Korean leader as the first move to harmonize and unify the people of the two Koreas. Now, North Korean time had been 30 minutes behind South Korean time since August 2015 when it was changed in a political gesture, but Kim decided to change the time back on Friday. He's reported to have told President Moon Jae-in during their summit that it was heartbreaking to see two different clocks at the Peace House, one showing South Korean time and the other showing North Korean time. U.S. National Security Advisor John Bolton says Washington is considering Libya's model of denuclearization in 2003 and 2004 for North Korea. President Trump's top national security aide also reiterated that Pyongyang needs to dismantle all of its nuclear weapons before the U.S. makes any concessions to Pyongyang. Kim Hyo-sun tells us more.
Washington is considering using Libya's model of denuclearization as a benchmark during its negotiations with North Korea over its nuclear program. That's according to White House National Security Advisor John Bolton, who told Fox News on Sunday that the North has to give up all of its nuclear weapons before the U.S. gives the regime anything in return.
And we have very much in mind the Libya model from 2003, 2004. There are obviously differences. The Libyan program was much smaller, but that was basically the agreement that we made. And so we'll want to test North Korea in this first meeting for evidence that they have made that strategic decision.
Bolton also said that he believes a U.S.-North Korea summit is going to happen, adding the two sides are still discussing the date and location. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo echoed the same conditions. In an interview with ABC News, Pompeo said he sees a real opportunity to make a satisfactory deal with Pyongyang.
The objective remains the same: complete, verifiable, irreversible denuclearization. That's been the administration's goal. President Trump has put economic pressure on the North Koreans, and it appears to have given us this opening, this real opportunity for something that would be transformative for the world if we can achieve it.
Pompeo also highlighted Washington's obligation to engage in diplomacy with North Korea and seek a peaceful resolution to protect its people from the regime's nuclear threats. He added that he had in-depth discussions with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un on denuclearization when the two met in Pyongyang earlier this month. Kim Hyo-sun, Arirang News.
North Korea has told South Korea's presidential office that its nuclear test site will be shut down in May, and to show it's serious, the regime will even invite experts and journalists to witness it happen. Kim Hae-sung reports.
The presidential office of Cheongwadae announced Sunday that North Korea has agreed to shut down its nuclear test site and allow an inspection next month.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un said during the Inter-Korean summit that he would close the nuclear test site located in the northern part of the North in May. To reveal this transparently to the international community, the North said it will invite experts and journalists from South Korea and the U.S.
The press secretary said Kim played down speculation that North Korea was closing down the test site because it is not functioning, saying it is in fact still in good condition. The North Korean leader also reportedly said that when he sits down with President Trump, the U.S. leader will learn that he is not someone who would target the South, the Pacific, or the United States with nuclear weapons, adding that Pyongyang would not need nuclear weapons once trust is built with Washington and the U.S. promises non-aggression and an end to the Korean War. According to the Blue House, North Korea has pledged to stop the use of military force and said no more blood will be shed on the Korean peninsula. Kaesong, Arirang News.
So, with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un announcing that the North will close its nuclear test site by May, new questions are swirling around the two tunnels mentioned by Kim during last week's summit talks with President Moon Jae-in. For more on what those comments might imply, here's Lee Seung-jae.
North Korea has tested 6 nuclear bombs since 2006. All of them were conducted at the Punggye-ri test site, located in Giljugun County. However, South Korea's Blue House announced Sunday that North Korea has agreed to close the site by May and says it may invite international experts to verify that the location has been closed. The news comes after the historic inter-Korean summit, in which North Korean leader Kim Jong-un told South Korean President Moon Jae-in that there's no reason to possess nuclear weapons if mutual trust with the U.S. is built through frequent meetings from now on. An end to the war and non-aggression are promised. However, there's international speculation the North has decided to close the site as it has been so badly damaged by nuclear explosions over the years that it can no longer be used. The North is playing down such speculation, with Kim apparently mentioning 2 large, well-tuned tunnels to President Moon during the summit, a statement quoted by the Blue House on Sunday.
Kim Jong-un told President Moon that the North is terminating facilities that no longer function, but he said the North has 2 more tunnels that are bigger than the regime's existing ones, and they are in good condition.
Kim's remarks have left international experts feeling uneasy, as there could be other tunnels that remain undiscovered by spy satellites. They added the North may even attempt secret tests since the development of hydro bombs isn't complete. Experts remain skeptical over the North's decision to shut down its Punggye-ri test site. They assess that a 7th nuclear test is possible in order to further increase the regime's bargaining power against the U.S. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Now, South Korean President Moon Jae-in has been sharing the outcomes of his summit with Kim Jong-un over the weekend. He spoke with leaders of the United States, Japan and Russia and expressed appreciation for their support and promised to coordinate closely with all of them. Oh Jung-hee with the details.
It was phone call after phone call over the weekend for South Korean President Moon Jae-in, sharing the outcome of the inter-Korean summit with the U.S. and nearby countries. The relay phone conversations began on Saturday night when President Moon talked with U.S. President Donald Trump for over an hour. President Trump said Seoul and Pyongyang have made a significant progress in their relations, and President Moon replied it was all possible thanks to President Trump's strong support. He added the inter-Korean summit lays the groundwork for success in President Trump's own summit with the North Korean leader.
President Trump said it's very good news for not only the 2 Koreas but for the whole world that they reaffirmed the goal of achieving a nuclear-free Korean peninsula through complete denuclearization. The leaders reaffirmed that their governments will continue to coordinate closely to achieve the complete denuclearization of the Korean peninsula.
President Trump said he's on the same page with Seoul and Pyongyang on their agreement to formally end the Korean War and expressed anticipation for his meeting with the North Korean leader. On Sunday morning, President Moon had a phone conversation with Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe.
Prime Minister Abe praised the fact that the leaders of South and North Korea reaffirmed the goal of complete denuclearization on the Korean peninsula through the Panmunjom Declaration. He said that North Korea's moves are especially forward-looking and hopes the declaration leads to specific actions.
The Japanese leader said Tokyo is willing to talk with Pyongyang to normalize relations and settle the affairs of the past, and President Moon told Abe that North Korean leader Kim Jong-un feels the same. Prime Minister Abe said he'll work for an opportunity to talk with North Korea and will ask for South Korea's help if necessary. Finally, the South Korean leader spoke with his Russian counterpart late Sunday afternoon and thanked him for his strong support. Russian President Vladimir Putin said the results of the Inter-Korean summit will form a solid foundation for building an unwavering peace on the Korean peninsula, and hailed President Moon's accomplishment of something he said was very difficult to achieve under complex circumstances. President Putin said the Inter-Korean summit should lead to a trilateral economic project among Seoul, Pyongyang, and Moscow, and President Moon agreed with him. The Russian leader also invited President Moon to make a state visit to Russia in June. 오정희, Arirang News.
Now, Russia's vice foreign minister says Moscow is not seeking to be a party to a peace treaty between the two Koreas. According to Russia's TASS news agency, Igor Morgulov said that such matters should be discussed between the two Koreas, adding that the former Soviet Union took part neither in the Korean War nor in the armistice talks. However, he said Russia remains dedicated to helping the peace process, and the long-stalled six-party framework is still crucial in denuclearizing North Korea. And the White House has confirmed that President Trump spoke with President Moon over the weekend about the Inter-Korean summit. According to a statement released by the White House on Sunday, the two leaders agreed that unprecedented pressure applied by the U.S., South Korea and the international community had led to what it termed this significant moment. It added that both President Moon and Trump emphasized that a peaceful and prosperous future for North Korea is contingent upon its complete, verifiable and irreversible denuclearization. According to the Blue House, the call lasted over 1 hour. Now, developments on the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula following the inter-Korean talks are surfacing one after another, which will lay a firm foundation for the summit between President Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. And amid all the speculation about the time frame and location of these upcoming talks, President Trump said it could happen sooner than expected. Kim Mok-yeon reports.
At a campaign-style rally in Michigan Saturday, U.S. President Donald Trump said he thinks his summit with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un will be held within the next 3 to 4 weeks.
I think we'll have a meeting over the next 3 or 4 weeks. It's going to be a very important meeting. The denuclearization of the Korean peninsula of North Korea. The denuke. But we'll see how it goes.
If that's finalized, the talks would likely be held no later than the end of May, which is around a week or two earlier than what he previously assumed. In addition to the scheduling, President Trump said his summit with Kim would be very important for the denuclearization of the Korean peninsula. Meanwhile, on the previous day, the American leader also shortened the list of places where the long-awaited talks might be held. During a press briefing after talks with German Chancellor Angela Merkel, Trump said it's down to 2 countries, and he will soon reveal the location to the public. Major news outlets in both Seoul and Washington say there's a good chance it will be held in Singapore or Mongolia. According to South Korea's Chungang Daily, the focus is on those 2 and not the European countries mentioned before, like Switzerland and Sweden, because it was determined to be difficult for Kim Jong-un to physically get there. Kim Mok-yeon, Arirang News.
South Korea's industrial output fell 1.2% on month in March, marking 2 consecutive months of decline now. According to Statistics Korea on Monday, memory chip production increased by over 1%, but production in automobiles and machinery dropped by more than 3% on month, leading the overall fall in industrial output. Industrial output also saw an on-year drop of 4.3% in March. But retail sales, an indicator of consumption, went up 2.7% on month on the back of strong automobile and clothing sales. The majority of South Korean firms that had operated at the Kaesong Industrial Complex in North Korea say they expect the complex to reopen and are willing to restart operations there. In a survey by the Korea Federation of Small and Medium Businesses last March, 96% of all firms at the jointly run complex said they would resume operations should it reopen. 8 out of 10 companies said the complex has a competitive advantage, pointing to low-cost, highly skilled labour. The firms anticipate that Kaesong will reopen during the Moon Jae-in administration. In 2016, the Park Geun-hye administration closed the park due to North Korea's nuclear and missile tests. South Korea's Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix are facing a legal fight in the United States as an American law firm, Hagens Berman, has filed a suit against them for price fixing. The U.S. law firm filed a suit at the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of California, alleging that Samsung, Hynix and Migrant have conspired to artificially limit the supply of DRAM chips to keep prices high. Local experts refute those allegations. They insist there was not price fixing and the cost was determined by supply and demand. Now for a look at stories making headlines around the world. And the leaders of the UK, France and Germany have agreed that pursuing the 2015 Iran nuclear deal is the best way of stopping Tehran acquiring nuclear weapons. For more on this and other international news stories, let's turn to our Noah Adam. So Adam, some progress is being made with the North Korean nuclear issue, as we've been reporting, but this Iran deal still, to this day, seems subject to so much controversy.
That's right, Mark. US President Donald Trump has long threatened to pull out of the Obama-era agreement, which he has described as insane and ridiculous. The 2015 deal involved lifting some sanctions in exchange for curbs on Iran's nuclear program. Trump has accused Iran of not keeping its end of the agreement, which he has described as being too lenient and costly. He has signaled multiple times that he would pull out of the deal, but world powers are urging him not to do so. In separate phone calls over the weekend, Theresa May, Emmanuel Macron and Angela Merkel discussed the importance of keeping the current deal. They agreed it was currently the only way to stop Iran from getting nuclear weapons. They did, however, address some of Trump's concerns. They agreed the deal needed to be broadened to cover areas such as ballistic missiles and that clarification was needed on what happens when the deal expires next month. But U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo ratcheted up Trump's rhetoric against Iran, further signaling that the U.S. is still considering scrapping the nuclear deal. Speaking in Saudi Arabia on Sunday, Pompeo said that if Washington was unable to work with its European allies to fix the agreement, then the U.S. would be leaving it. Trump has until May 12th to decide whether to continue or abandon the deal. In other news, hundreds of people from the so-called Central American migrant Caravan have reached the U.S Mexico border to ask America for asylum. The group, comprised of about 400 migrants from Honduras, Guatemala and El Salvador, had made a month-long trip to reach the border city Tijuana on Sunday. They were welcomed by U.S. immigration activists rallying on the San Diego side. The migrants were hoping to get safe passage to the United States, but faced trouble upon arrival as U.S. immigration officials announced that the San Diego crossing was already at full capacity. Border officials also warned that those whose asylum cases were not strong enough would face detention or deportation. Organisers and activists lashed out at the authorities, saying they had ample time to prepare for the influx of migrants which they knew was coming. The migrant caravan had drawn ire from President Trump, who pressured Mexico to stop the convoy by threatening to pull out of the North American FTA if it failed to do so. The latest Marvel Studios superhero movie, Avengers: Infinity War, has amassed a whopping $630 million in its international opening weekend. If the estimate by parent company Walt Disney is confirmed, then the mega franchise would overtake the previous global opening weekend record set by The Fate of the Furious, which logged $542 million. That milestone is likely to be reached as the movie is set to be released in China, the world's second largest movie market, on May 11th.
Good morning. It's going to be warmer than yesterday, but it's very dusty in Korea, while Japan and China will also have a sunny and warm Monday. The whole of Korea woke up to high levels of ultra-fine dust, but the nation will be able to breathe better later on as the air quality should improve, starting with the southern regions in the afternoon. Most parts of the country will be under partly sunny skies, with highs going above those of yesterday, rising to 24 degrees Celsius here in the capital. Daegu and Gyeongju will feel like summer this afternoon, topping out at 27 degrees. With that, let's take a look at the international weather for viewers around the world. So most of South Korea will see more sun in the afternoon along with warm highs. Most parts of North Korea will also have sunny skies with highs in the 20s. And over in New Delhi, it's going to be sunny early on. Then there will be increasing clouds with some scattered thunderstorms this afternoon. In Sydney, it will rain early in the day, followed by partly cloudy skies in the afternoon. Heading to North America, after a joint record low temperatures on Sunday morning, Chicago's weather is expected to have well above normal temperatures for the rest of the week. As for South America, Sao Paulo and Rio de Janeiro will be sunny and hot with highs of 30 degrees Celsius. Taking you to Europe, those of you in London and Paris will need to brace for a cold, windy, and wet Monday. Lastly, to Africa, very hot weather and sandstorms will hit Egypt this week. And that's all the weather update for now.
And that's where we're going to leave the news for now. Our next bulletin is coming up at noon Korea time in around an hour and a half from now. So until then, goodbye.